Okay, colleagues, I think we are good to get started.
Are our guests in?
We can confirm with Paul, at least is in. Paul, do we have our Do we have our keynote in, CEO?
Yes,
and
yes.
Madam Beatrice?
Yeah, both of my colleagues, my CEO and my colleague Beatrice are on. Maybe they could say hi.
Yes, I think that would be appropriate just to test, to voice test.
Hi everyone,
Hi,
you can hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
very much so.
Hi, you can hear me?
Yes, can hear and see you. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
And I think I just saw Bwana CEO pass by. Mkubwa, how are you, sir?
Very fine, thank you. Daktari, how are you doing?
Fine, good to see you. It's always a pleasure. Congratulations for the good work you keep doing.
My pleasure too, thank you.
Were you in Okunda or somewhere in the coast earlier today?
Actually, I'm still there. I had a CSR program, so the time got me here.
Excellent. Keep up the good work.
Asante, asante.
Right. Over to you, Brother Debal and Sister Rosemary. You could also say hellos.
Yes, I think we're good to go. And thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Actually, it's the first webinar, which is a collaboration between Kenya Diaspora Alliance and UFAA. For some of you who don't know what that stands for, is Unclaimed Financial Assets. I think we will learn a lot more about that today. We are really honored. We have high-powered people. We have the CEO in the house. We have Beatrice and many officials are from UFAA. For purposes of introduction, my name is Rosemary Musumba. I'm currently in New York working with the UN as a communication person. And we'll be co-moderating with my colleague in Nairobi, my brother, young brother, Dibal. Karibu, Dibal.
Thank you very much, Rosemary Musumba. And I'm really delighted to be part of this conversation. We know that Unclaimed Asset Authority is not a new agency to us. Many of us here in the country, we thank them for the good salutary effort that they've been trying to, of course, foster and put to the public in trying to reunite some of the people they think they do not have any assets. And unbeknownst to them, sometimes it's a surprise when they get a call from UFA. So from here henceforth, we shall be using UFA just to shorten the name as well. But I'm really delighted to be part of this conversation this afternoon. And I am hoping and expressing also my deepest hopes that everyone will fully participate in every which way, be it in asking questions or also having keen attention on what is being said. If you have inquiries, remember also we have the chat forum there. You can always be posting your questions and that will be expressed to the appropriate person that you've had them to. But of essence also is keeping time so that we don't have to be very verbose in what we're saying, but we can constrain ourselves. Brevity is of essence, and it's good that we're starting on time. We always know it is the King of France. That is the France that said that he said punctuality is the courtesy of the kings, right, and the politeness of princesses. And so we're delighted to actually start on time. So my name is Dibala Nair by way of introduction. And once again, I'm delighted to be part of this conversation, co-hosting with Rosemary until the tail end of the webinar. So on behalf of Diaspora Lands, of course, we want to welcome each and every one of you. Kindly feel welcomed and fully participate as well in every way that you can. Thank you very much. Rosemary, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dibal. And also let me acknowledge one of our colleagues, Joyce Kwamboka, who's in the house, who's helping out with the language, the sign language. We always appreciate you. Sometimes we don't take time to acknowledge your presence, but your work is really very pivotal and very, very important to all our colleagues who are participating so that all of us are on the same page. Without much ado, our three main guests is really starting off with the Dr. Shea Mochodo, who is the global chair of the Kenya Diaspora Alliance. Yeah, I don't know, there's some reverberation. And
Can you hear me?
yeah, there was some reverberation as you were talking. You want to say something before I introduce the other two guests?
No, actually, when you called the name, I'm not sure. I know the techies are busy admitting participants. Should we look at the national anthem or a prayer to get started, if that's okay?
That's very fine, yeah.
Thank you.
Let's pray. Our dear Master art in heaven, we give you honor and glory because you've given us this precious time. Lord, as we are going to start, we ask that, Lord, may you guide us, protect us, and help us through. In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray and believe. Amen.
Amen. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you so much, Nighty. Nice to see you, really. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, very well. So as Dibal said, we are really starting on time. This is great. I love it. At least we can maximize and people can participate. And we want to make it really interactive. So allow me to introduce Mr. F.A. John K. Mwangi, who is the CEO of the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. As agreed, we're going to call them UFA. And along with the CPA, Ms. Beatrice Chelangat. She's the acting manager of the Unclaimed Financial Assets line. Karibuni sana. We really have people streaming live, listening from all over the world. My friend, Dr. Shiro in LA, I mean, she had to wake up on time, really. This is pretty early for them. And as you all know, and of course, you've been keeping up with the news. Of course, us in the US are starting off on a very, very sad note this morning. with almost close to 20 children who've been gunned down in Texas. I was in Texas not too long ago, so it's something that is very close to my heart. And I had my brother-in-law who had traveled to Buffalo to go to sort out his passport not too long ago, about a week ago, just to leave Buffalo, and then somebody comes and, the tragedy that you must have had. So sometimes when you hear some of these places mentioned or states mentioned, you think you don't know anybody, but it's something that is very close to our heart. So we keep them in prayer, we uplift them in prayer, but let's start off. Karibuni sana to this offer session in collaboration with KDA. We are really honored and humbled to be with you. So bwana ndugu yetu, bwana CEO, labda unaweza kutuanza?
Thank you very much, Rose. Delighted and happy to see all of you, wherever you are from the world. Karibuni sana. Now here we are unclaimed, all of us. So I'm sure that's the gospel you're going to talk about today. Rosemary, I'm very sad about that incident in Texas. Just actually seen it now, and it's very sad. And for brothers and sisters, you have been either affected or infected in any way, please receive our condolences and our poleni sana, and we hope it will all be well. Mine is to welcome the people in the forum. We are so delighted to have you on board. We learn one or two things, and our focus mainly for calling upon this forum is to emphasize our desire to have these monies reunited with their rightful owners. Sorry. So the way we have designed the presentation, I'll have my colleague Beatrice, who is a manager and claimed, acting manager and claimed assets line. That's the core department, the department that's responsible for receiving these assets, safeguarding and reuniting. So she'll first make a presentation so that you understand the context in which we are calling on you, and then I'll come back to wrap up and maybe follow the program as is. So thank you very much, everybody. Karibuni sana. And Beatrice, please take the floor.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Beatrice, unakaribishwa dada yetu. This is, I was already, the flyer was actually shared with on a platform, on a WhatsApp platform, colleagues, particularly Kenyans who work with the UN. A lot of them very senior. Na watu wamenitumia maswali, wamerusha maswali sana. They are very, very concerned. They are very, very much interested in knowing more about UFA, and some of them. And the reason they are very concerned, and everybody else, I believe, is that you may be operating in a duty station like I'm currently in New York. Last year I was in Zambia, then I went, and when you go to all these places, when they are doing your paperwork, they ask you to open an account in the country. Wewe uko pale for about 3 to 6 months, you leave. Now, what happens? Sometimes you even forget about that account. I already, as far as I'm concerned, at personal level, I already have about 10 accounts. I've completely forgotten about them in Geneva, wherever. And this is just a very welcome topic at this particular time. So a lot of them are asking those questions along those lines, but we will get into the Q&A. This is just a little taster and a little hors d'oeuvre. Karibu sana, Beatrice.
Thank you, Rosemary. Yes, and thank you everyone. And I'm going to share with you about just something about Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. And I know my CEO will talk about the main things, but I want only to dwell on the, when you find your assets, what happens, and the kind of assets which we hold as Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. And allow me to share my screen. Okay, thank you. You can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
yes.
Yes, so I want to concentrate on the reunification bit. As you have heard, we are Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Our mandate is to receive the assets, we safeguard them, and then we reunite them back to the rightful owners. And I want to concentrate majorly on the reuniting of assets to the rightful owners. So, we are based on, we are established by an UFA Act of 2011 and regulations of 2016. And what are the types of assets, or what are the reasons which lead to unclaimed financial assets? And most of the time, we have sometimes maybe somebody just passes on, and for that case, if somebody passes on and maybe they are not disclosed, maybe they had an open a bank account or an insurance policy, so in that case, they will become unclaimed. And another reason for assets to become unclaimed are the changes of addresses. For example, most of you now who are in diaspora, when you in the country, you had bank accounts, and because now you have changed your addresses, then it means that those bank accounts most of the time have become unclaimed, because the holder cannot be able to trace you to your current address. And of course, we have poor record keeping as also another reason, and even sometimes ignorance, because sometimes you find that the assets which you are given as your money, for example, when Safaricom started paying dividends, they were paying small amounts, and you could get a check of say 100 shillings, and in that case, the cost of banking that check, or the cost of even moving from one place to cut that check into money was higher than even the money, the check itself. So you find that people are just leaving that check, but with time, now it has accumulated to a lot of money. And we have also assets, the type of assets which we deal with, and the specific period of abandonment after which now they become unclaimed. And we have shares, which become shares and dividends. So if you don't cash your dividends for say 3 years, then they will become unclaimed. And the shares which are generating the same dividends also will equally become unclaimed. Then we have the money orders or the traveler's checks. After 2 years, if they have not been cashed, then also they will become unclaimed. Then we also have checks, draft or similar instruments. And if the checks, or if you throw a check to somebody and that check is not cashed within 2 years, then after those 2 years, then it becomes unclaimed. Then in that case, the holder, that is the bank in that case, will be able now to remit the money and the name of the owner of that check to our institution. And then we have the demand, savings, or mature time deposits. These are, for example, the fixed deposits in the bank, and it takes 5 years for them to be unclaimed. And so after the period of 5 years, for example, if you have a bank account, say, for example, it was in 2015, that's the last time probably you accessed that bank account and that fixed deposit account. Then by 2020, if you have not really maybe even communicated to the bank, then it becomes unclaimed and it is due for submission to the authority. Then we have, say, deposit for utility services. Deposit for utility services have things like deposit for electricity, deposit for telephone, and even deposit for water. And if now you move, or you even move to your own place, and probably now you had made a deposit for Kenya for power, for electricity, and you move to your own house, then it means you're supposed to be refunded that deposit. And I know there are several people who have not been refunded that deposit. So if within 2 years you are not refunded that money, then the same money now will be submitted to the authority, and it will now be available for the owner to come and claim it from the authority. Then we have determination or order by court of refund by holder. So meaning if somebody had a case and it was decided, or the court ordered that you are supposed to be paid or to be refunded some money, and after 2 years, if you will not have been refunded that money, then it will be unclaimed, and the money now will be submitted to the authority so that it can be available for the owner to come and claim the money from the authority. Assets from dissolved business entity, this one also takes 2 years. So if a business entity is dissolved, and within those 2 years, the payment has not been made to the relevant people, then the money will be submitted to the authority, and after that, now they'll be available for claiming by the rightful owners. Then we have also assets held in fiduciary capacity. These are assets were held by the trustees, and after 2 years, if there's no communication or they have not been paid out, then those assets again are due to be remitted to the authority, after which now they can be claimed by the rightful owners. Then we have the gift certificates. Gift certificates, if somebody gives you a voucher, a gift voucher, that one will take 5 years for it to be treated as unclaimed. Then we have unpaid wages. It takes 1 year. If somebody leaves employment and they don't claim their money within that 1 year, after 1 year, then the money will be treated as unclaimed, and the money will be due to be submitted to the authority, so that it can be available for the owner to come and claim. Then we have assets held in safe deposit box, and this one should be financial in nature. So if we open the safe deposit box and we find that we find jewelry, we find probably the hard cash, then these assets are supposed to be claimed, and they will only be due to be unclaimed after 2 years. Then assets held by court or government department, these ones are due to be submitted to unclaimed after 1 year. So, so how now, if now a holder, how will a bank or an insurance or a pension company submit assets to the authority? So the moment now those assets have become unclaimed, as by my previous slide, then the holder will come now and file the reports through our portal and through our channels, the website. And once now they have filed the reports and they have submitted the money to our Unclaimed Financial Assets Trust Fund account, then the authority will update the database for the names of the owners of the unclaimed financial assets. Then after now we have updated our database, then we make it available now to the public to be able to find out whether their assets have been reported as unclaimed. And we have different ways in which you can be able to check whether you have unclaimed financial assets. We have, you can check through our website, that is www.ufaa.co.ke, or even you can use your phone, just directly *361# and follow the procedure, and you can be able now to know, yes, that my asset was submitted to the authority, and then from there now we can be able to know even how to claim. And now we have the different types of claims, that is as per our regulations. We have now that you will have found out that you have the assets, then we have now the different types of claims. We have one whereby it's the original owner. For example, it's me, Beatrice. We're still alive, and probably I forgot my insurance policy, my banker's check, my account, dormant account. Then I will be required by the regulations to be able to fill a completed Form 4A. We have completed Form 5, and then I need to provide my bank details. That is where I'll get paid. How do I want my money to be paid? Then, of course, a letter from the holder showing that actually they are the ones which remitted the money. Or in this case, if you can be able to say that this is the asset which was submitted, for example, if it is an insurance policy, you can be able to say, yes, this is the insurance policy which I have, which was unclaimed. This is the insurance policy document itself. This is the insurance number. And if you can be able now to match the records we have in our system and the records now you will be able to produce, then you will not need that letter from the holder. Then even to be able to identify you, will need the identification document, which is a certified copy of your national ID or a passport, and certified by a lawyer. In this case, for people outside the country, then you will need the notary public in this case. And then, of course, in some instances, we also may need a copy of KRA PIN. And then, of course, we want to know whether the bank account is active. So in that case, we will require a copy of the current bank statement, or if you have given us to be paid through a check, or it can be even a bank deposit slip. So it's not really it's not a must that it should be a bank statement. So in that case, once you provide all those documents, we are going to do the internal verification of the documents that you will have provided to check, of course, the authenticity of those documents, and we'll be able to process your claim and remit the money to the bank account that you will have provided. And that is for the original owner claim. Then we have the second type of claimant, whereby this is where the owner of the asset is deceased. And we have now the second person, in this case, the administrator of the estate, or the nominee, or the next of kin, coming now and following up the money. So we will have now different requirements for this, and we have a different form in this case, which is called Form 4B, and these are available from our website. We have Form 5, which is basically an indemnity form, and then certificate of confirmation of grant, or in place of that, you can have certificate of summary administration. You can even still have a policy document if it's a nominee, and of course the letter from the holder saying actually you are really the nominee, probably for that insurance policy. So in where we have the certificate of confirmation of grant, you can have the public trustee. You can have it's varied because it's case by case. At least you can have a document relating you to the original owner of the asset, and then of course the copy of the death certificate, and of course the certified now copy of the national ID or passport for the person now who is claiming the money, and of course the other documents are as for the original owner. Then we have basically, I've summarized, that is where, again, in this case, if it is the public trustee which is claiming the money as the administrator, so in that case, they will provide certificate of summary administration, and in place of the certificate of confirmation of grant, the other things will be able to remain the same. Then, of course, you can have situation whereby the public trustee will send their agent, which is the deputy county commissioner, to be able to claim the money, and in that case, they will still be able to provide certificate of summary administration, and then the other documents are more or less the same. Then we have, so that is different scenarios. That is, deputy county commissioner is when the money is up to 100,000. The public trustee is when the money is up to 5 million Kenya shillings. Then we have another type of claim now, where we have the company, or what you call the business entity, and we have them, they have to fill the Form 4C, and then they also need to fill the indemnity form, and then the other details will remain the same. That is the letter from the holder confirming actually that they can be reconciled to the asset. That is, that they have a relationship with the asset which was submitted to the authority. And the main difference here, the claimants in this case are the directors of the company. And of course, if it is a sole proprietorship, then it's the individual who is just submitting their ID. But of course, if it's a limited liability company, then we'll have the directors. It can be one, they can be two, providing their IDs. And of course, carrier PIN for the company, that is for the business entity. And now, of course, the bank statement for the organization. And maybe I can also say something that if the money came in form of APC limited company, then the bank statement or the account to be paid will be APC limited, so that we can be able to reconcile the money and that the money will be called back to the rightful owners. Then, of course, we have our chamas, we have the self-help groups, and for them, they produce the minutes, they produce the certificate of registration, and we have the officials are claiming by providing now their IDs and their carrier pins and filling the forms as just like the others. And then we have sometimes again we may even ask for more documentation. It's a case by case. It depends on how complex that claim is. So sometimes you may be told provide other additional documents, and sometimes we even have another type of claim, which is the agent for honor, whereby now I'm outside the country and I have my brother within the country. They can be able to claim your asset by filling a Form 4D and providing their documents, as long as now they are able to provide registered power of attorney when it's in case of an adult. But in case you had opened a bank account for a child which is below 18 years, so in that case, as the parent, you can still be able to claim as the agent for honor and provide a birth certificate, so that now the moment you verify that birth certificate and see that there's a relationship between you and the name indicated in the asset submitted to the authority, then in that case now we can be able to process and pay the money to your account. And after now all the documents have been submitted, several documents, all of them, they need to be verified. For original owner, we have the verification. Most of the time, the verification is done internally within the authorities' offices, because we have partnered with the IPRS, which we are able now to verify our ID. Then we have, of course, the other verifications, which we have to do it outside the office. Then, for example, like the registered power of attorney, we have to go back to the Ministry of Lands to verify that actually it's a genuine document. Then, of course, we have the verification of the other documents. Maybe it's a business registration. For the deceased cases, verification of the court order, the grant, certificate of summary administration. And after that, we are done with those verifications. Then now we come and process the claim. And because at that time now, the claim moves to a stage of now becoming a valid claim. Then we process it, and for agent for honor, and then for deceased cases, we are required to cassette those claims. And we cassette for a period of 30 days, a notice period of 30 days. And if within those 30 days we don't receive no objection to pay, so the moment the cassette notice lapse and we will not have received the objection to that claim, then we will be able to proceed and make payment to the people who lodged the claim. And thank you for that. In summary, that is how you can be able to claim your asset. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dibal, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Beatrice, for that elaborate, very comprehensive explainer as well. So we want to thank you. I think all of us who are not really having any sorting idea on what UFA is all about, now we have also a very good grasp of what it's all about. But that is not all. So I know there are also questions that will arise from your presentation as well. If it was very comprehensive enough, maybe somebody has noted something that was not included there, they will be able also to flag that up much, much later. But we want just to go full steam ahead. But before we do that, let me just appreciate you with my digital clap here. Rosemary, thank you very much. So without much further ado, allow me to, of course, he had just given introductory remarks earlier. That is the CEO of UFA. And right now we just want to hear what he has for us in terms of...
Sorry, Dibal.
Are we losing you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, the CEO will include after KDA chair, please. Is our keynote.
Oh, it's a keynote here. Yes, yeah. So let me, before we do that, I'll give you also, Shemocho, the 10 minutes, just to also give us that opportunity of where we are complementing each other as far as the partnership is concerned.
Thank you very much, Debal. Let me just try and get the projection right, the share right. Just 1 minute. I hope my screen can be seen.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Before I say something, let me recognize we have Stephanie Mungai, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, representing Ambassador Harriet Nduma, Head Director of Diaspora and Consular Affairs. Allow me also to pay tribute to two of our very eminent ambassadors, Ambassador Gidai in Vienna, Austria. Last night did undertake and reached out to a number of his subjects, and so did Ambassador Professor Judy Wahungu, who is in Paris, France, but covering 5 countries. Some of them have not only carried this information on the official embassy sites, but even on their personal sites, and we don't take it for granted. So we greatly appreciate them for that. Allow me also to appreciate Mzee Manu Chandaria, our first diaspora ambassador. This is the first webinar we have that he can't attend, having just turned, I think, 93 years, and we keep him in prayer. And sorry, Sister Rosemary, for the tragedy you've shared in Texas. Now, just on behalf of the Kenya Diaspora Alliance, allow me also to wish participants Happy Africa Day. We do represent what's called East Africa region at the AU ECOSOC, the organ that represents diasporas and non-state actors, as well as private sector and professionals. In terms of when we use the term diaspora, we try to use it in the very generous sense to include those who ordinarily live outside the country, non-residents. That's the constitutional definition. But we also consider returnees, those who've lived outside 10, 20, 30 years and since returned home, as well as mixed families, a Kenyan married to a Norwegian or married to a Ugandan. We also consider them diasporas because they share commonalities. Fourth are what we call aliens or foreigners in Kenya. We also consider them, they are diasporas in their own jurisdictions. Last but not least are corporations, companies that are significantly Kenyan owned. NTV, Uganda, UAP Tanzania, GeoNet Communications, New Jersey, and so on and so forth. So there are Kenyans who could live in Kenya, but have companies in India. We also consider them diasporas. There are major actors in the diaspora space. Obviously, diaspora and economic empowerment is at the heart of it. Either they've gone for greener pastures or for studies or to work. But they relate with two major governments, Kenya, the host, and the host government, where they are. And I must apologize for our colleagues on the two extreme ends. I know for the colleagues in the US, it's very early. People like in Seattle and so on, I think it's probably 4 a.m., 5 a.m. To the other extreme, colleagues in Australia, where it's now going to midnight. So we really appreciate, and we had to balance. And I must thank UFA for having accommodated where we could take from the extreme left to the extreme right. And then, of course, there are companies we work with and government agencies and institutions like UFA, our very good partner. In terms of diaspora remittances, what we talk about mostly. They bring into Kenya, last year was $3.8 billion. That's according to CBK report. That's about 4% of our GDP, quite significant. We have set a goal as KDA to work with partners to double this amount to 6 billion by the year 2030, in line with the UN SDGs, as well as Vision 2030. But we also recognize that a good chunk of it now goes into family support. Only 25% goes into hard savings and investments. We are keen to see that grow up to 30%. And we are keen to work together with diaspora formations and partners, both in government at the national as well as county levels. We just signed a month ago an MOU with the Kakamega governor. Among others, we're already working with about 10 county governments to push this agenda forward. So our keenness is, how do we grow that amount and put more to circulate into the economy? In terms of Kenya Diaspora Alliance, we have currently 48 diaspora organizations officially affiliated with a combined nominal membership of 250,000 Kenyans across the globe. It's only about 10%, so we're really still keen to reach the other 90% of the diasporas so that we are able to engage and enfranchise them and involve them in the country's development and growth. The organizations range from welfare to faith organizations to philanthropies to circles and so on and so forth. Just to name a few of them, Kenya Community Abroad, domiciled in Washington, D.C., as well as others, Kenyans in Nigeria, Association of Kenyans in Zimbabwe, and so on and so forth. Our latest three members, the 46th one was Kenya Qatar Diaspora Circle. The 47th one, and 47 is key here, was Kenya Canadian Association. The latest, again, we signed an MOU about 2-3 weeks ago, was Kenya Australia Chamber of Commerce. That's our 48th. 48th is also key because we consider diaspora as Kenya's 48th county. And we are hoping that going forward, we'll attain that someday soon. One of our major activities is the Homecoming Convention in December, where I think the best show was 2019 December. And last year, the CEO of Unclaimed Financial Assets was our keynote speaker. And we had eminent government leaders as well as captains of industry, not only from Kenya, but from other countries as well. So the best show we had before COVID, of course, COVID took a little beating, but by last year we had already recovered. We had in 2019 over 40 companies and 3 county governments and governors participating. Last year we had 35 companies. So we are as good as on the recovery path participating. And we had 800 participants over the 3-day period from 44 different countries. So that's one of our major flagship. Of course, from this raft of eminent keynote speakers and guests, there are many you can recognize from their faces, including Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister of Morocco, a former CJ, head of the UN in Kenya formerly, and so on and so forth. So just to give you a feel, including as well members of House of Commons at the bottom right in the UK. We've more recently engaged also with, actually we had a meeting a month ago where we had a team in the US that were received or met 8 members, representatives as they're called, Congressional Black Caucus. I should mention that last week we were in Kisumu for our Free Cities Summit. We're privileged to host the Diaspora Day. Again, a couple of senators, state senators from the US, among other business people attended. And we are keen to deepen that collaboration even further. In terms of our outreach, social media outreach, some of our pages, particularly when we have the homecoming convention, you can see in that year, that was 2019, topmost pages were accessed from the countries as listed. Even from Russia Federation, a number of pages were accessed. We also have the Diaspora Portal, which again, just an indication, at the best time in a month, we have like nearly 100,000 viewers accessing. But there are 2 interesting projects we are involved in currently. We're working with GIZ WIDO, WIDO.Africa, and we have what we call WIDO ambassadors, which involves 7 EU countries. They are giving grants for businesses. We'll be talking more about that at another session, but that's one of our treasured partners. We're also working with CEDA and Pangea Trust. We're in the process of establishing the Kenya Diaspora Investment Vehicle. Already last November, we made a call, 500 startups applied, 20 have been selected, 10 are already in the coaching mentorship stage in readiness to get funding. Our goal is, how do we create jobs and wealth to our young people and our women, leveraging diaspora remittances? Maybe just finally, in terms of outreach distribution, you can see in that time, 2018, our best showing actually was last October. We had a webinar addressed by Honorable CSS Trade and Health. And after promotion for a month, we had 1.6 million views in 127 different countries. So that's the kind of audience we bring to the table. And we are delighted to work with the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority and other partners to reach out to diaspora and get them to be part of the country's development. There is more we will be hearing later in the webinar today. But otherwise, for now, thank you so much for your audience, for your attention, and I look forward to a fruitful webinar. Thanks, Debal. Thanks, Rosemary.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shem Ochodo, for that presentation. Though I could see a lot of delegates were frustrated that the slide was not moving. Nonetheless, I know also they will be happy to get a copy or maybe the slides emailed to them so that they can at least also get to be intimately familiar with what you're presenting, the slides that you just had, and also from Beatrice as well, just to get that rich sieve of information also that she gave before. So apologies to them that were not able to follow through, but at least you've taken a keen interest of what Shem was saying. So Dr. Shem, kindly remember we'll make sure that is facilitated from the Secretariat, that everyone also has that bit of a presentation as well. But you could hear from Shem that the main essence is about partnership, cooperation. They always say you cannot whistle a symphony. It takes a whole orchestra to play a symphony. And this is where collaboration really comes into play. Even with UFA as well, it takes the whole community from diaspora to get the channels of UFA to make sure that there is that interplay where the money is and is not really claimed. They will make sure that unification is done. And that's the main essence of this particular webinar we have today, which is running under the theme, just to remind you, Reuniting Diaspora with the Unclaimed Assets webinar. And a lot of questions also are being expressed here from the chat. We'll just be able to pick up that also after the presentation from our keynote speaker this evening, And I'm glad to note also that Paul Muya, who is the head of communication, is addressing a lot of them as well. So at least also, since we'll be pinched on time, that will really come in handy. But remember to use that particular chat to express your questions and frustrations, and that will be adequately addressed. So let me just go full steam ahead and introduce as well now a keynote speaker. And then we'll be able, just after his presentation, now to express some of the questions that we can see and some of them that are hanging on the rafters of your mind, for him to also be ably given that opportunity to address the questions as well. But allow me now to welcome our keynote speaker. This is none other than the CEO of Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. This is John Mwangi. And kindly, sir, take the floor. You have ample time also to make your presentation so that we can actually also get to know more about the authority and what is the interface now with the diaspora. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Dibar. Thank you very much, Daktari, for that good presentation. And my colleague, Beatrice, that was quite commendable. And for our audience, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And it's our joy to have you on board with us. I do not have slides to share. I think a lot of what could be in my slides is what Beatrice has taken you through. So for me, perhaps, is to give you the other side of the authority, to give you a deeper appreciation of who we are. So in terms of the structure of the authority, we have 33 staff members, cutting across 9 departments. And you can see now that staff and the kind of the mandate we have. We are very lean on the ground. We are only based in Nairobi. And you can see some of our claimants, they are all over the world. And perhaps that's one of the reasons now that we had to ask ourselves as an authority, how do we bridge this gap of that capacity inadequacy? And we have approached that in 3 dimensions. Number 1 is through partnerships, and that's why we are very strong on that pillar. And this is anchored in our strategic plan. Our plan is from 2018, and we are retiring that plan next year. And we did identify that for us to make any meaningful impact in our mandate, then the way we are structured on our own, we cannot do much. That's how we approach that pillar of partnerships. And right now, I'm happy to inform you that we've got a good number of partnerships we have in place. One of them, of course, is now the Kenya Diaspora Association. Actually, that's our newest kid on the block. And then also in terms of how do we then make sure that people within Kenya can access our services without having to come all the way to Nairobi. And last month, 2 months ago, we launched some partnership with the Huduma centers across the whole country. But we are piloting that within Nairobi first to begin with, the 5 centers in Nairobi. And we have seen a lot of interest in our mandate by people walking to those centers, seeking for government services. And then you are told, yes, among those services that you can get, Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, their services are also there. So if you walk to any of those Huduma centers in Nairobi, you can get our services. Also, in terms of the regulators, all the regulators of various sectors of the economy, we have got a very good appreciation and understanding with them because the way our law that Beatrice took you through expects is that the holders of these assets are supposed first to look for the owner of these assets. And only when you cannot find the owner and the time, the slide that Beatrice showed you with various years, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, that time has lapsed and the holder has not found the owner, that's when they're supposed to bring those assets. So for us, then we feel it's easier we deal with the regulators so that those holders are sensitized in their forums that before you bring those assets to the authority, you are supposed to demonstrate that you looked for this person and you could not find him or her. And the 2 years were over, for instance, in the case of the pension, as an example. Then now you bring that asset to the authority together with any information that you have on that particular claimant. So again, holders are very key for us because they're the ones who are identifying these assets in their records and bring them to us. So partnership with the regulators, We have also partnerships with media. Of late, you've seen a lot of our stories being covered on both print and electronic media, even social media, just telling the public and the world who is UFAA and what is it that we do. And then from there, people are able to get interest and inquire what is it that we actually do. Another partnership we have is another arm of government called the National Government Administration Officers, or the NGAOs. For those of us who are in the old school of thinking before the new constitution, we used to call them the provincial administration. The way you'd flow from the PC, nowadays they're called regional commissioners, then county commissioners, sub-county commissioners, all the way to the chief. So we have got also through the Ministry of Interior, been able to partner with that institution, so that when they go for these forums, when they are talking to the people in whatever forums, they're able to tell the people, please check if you have got any unclaimed financial assets. And if you do, then please bring it on board. The other people we are working on is the judiciary. For us, judiciary is very important on two fronts. Number one is on the issue of the law itself. If you look at our act, the way it's structured at now, and our regulations that support that act. And I request you guys to go to our website, www.ufaa.go.ke, and one of the tabs you'll find there is a tab on downloads. And when you go to that tab, you're going to find our act, the UFA Act that established the authority and the attendant regulations, because anything we do has to be anchored in those two documents. Now, one of the unique aspects in our law and regulations is that they assume a linear mode of claiming. What I mean by that is that you are claiming 10 shillings, or you are claiming 1 million, or 20 million, or 5,000 shillings, or 500 shillings, or even 17 shillings, because right now the least payment you have done is 17 shillings. The way the law is crafted at the moment, it presumes that all those claimants should go through a similar process, irrespective of how much they are claiming. And that's why for us, we are very keen to actually engage our partners. And in this case, we are talking about the judiciary and also the MPs, the legislatures, to see to it that the law is, first of all, is interpreted the way it's meant to be. And perhaps where we feel as an authority that it requires some changes, then those changes are done so that it makes it easy for people to claim and even for the holders to surrender their assets. And I think also for us, we are saying that everybody for us is a key partner. And for us, the more partnerships we have, the better for us, that people can get to know who we are, what we do, and then experience ourselves. I'm happy, I'm seeing those chats coming up in the chat. And I'm happy for that experience that you're sharing with us, because as an institution, that's how you learn and that's how you improve. And we encourage you, whether you have got good news to say about us, whether they're bad news, we appreciate, because it's through that sharing that you improve and become a better person. So partnerships are a very key pillar that we are pursuing. And another area that we are working on very closely is also a pillar on outreach. And this is where we want to reach as many people as possible. And again, we are happy through this Diaspora Forum, be able to meet and interact with our customers all over the world. And we are happy with the advancements in technology. That says that now we are talking to people from all over the world. They can hear us, they can see us, and they're able to query what is it that we do. And then the other pillar we're working on closely is the pillar of automation, so that it will become more efficient in terms of delivering on our mandate. So for us now, those aspects of partnerships, aspects of outreach, aspects of automation, we do hope and anticipate that with those, if they are well coordinated, then they will help us be able to unlock a lot of our potential through those synergies. And I'm happy to report that there's a global body called NAUPA. For those who are in America, I'm sure you might have heard about this, National Association of Unclaimed Property Administrators, of which we are a member, Kenya as a state. We are a member of that association. And we do learn a lot in terms of what other jurisdictions are doing. And that's how we're able even internally come and make some proposals, some changes in our legislation, in our policies, in our operations, at least now, as you all attest, we have seen some traction on this regime, and we do look forward to have more of this. In fact, I think early next month, there will be a symposium on AUPA, and we do hope as a Kenya we'll have an opportunity to participate if all goes well. And I'm sure in so doing, maybe we'll be able to meet some of you guys wherever you will be. Now, allow me to talk about my second point that I want to share with you today, and that's the point on reunification. Told you we have got 3 mandates. One is to receive these funds, and we receive these funds from the holding institutions. And then once we receive them, we hold them on trust. And that's where the authority is established both as an authority and as a trust for the purpose of custody or safekeeping of those assets. And then now, once we safeguard, as we safeguard them, we look for their owners and reunite. So reunification for us is a very big pillar, because for us, we feel that once we reunify these monies with their owners, then that's how we become impactful as an authority. We do not want to be perceived like another holding institution. It's our joy when these monies go back to their owners so that they can be able to be of value to them. Just in brief statistics right now, we've been in operations since 2015. That's when the authority actually formally began. And to date, we've been able to receive about 24 billion Kenya shillings in cash. That has come from about 1,000+ institutions that have been remitting these assets in the authority. And cash here, I mean by bank deposits, I mean dividends from the shares, pensions, mobile monies, maybe pensions, utilities, all those assets that Beatrice took you through, those that are in cash form, been able to receive about 24 billion for the last 6 years we've been in operation. In terms of the shares, been able to receive over 1 billion units of shares from various companies, both listed and unlisted. And it's a big asset class that we are holding. Can you hear me, guys? Dembal, am I there?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes. You're good. You're good,
okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So in terms of the shares, we've been able to receive over 1 billion units of shares. When you try to value those shares through Nairobi Securities Exchange prices, they give us a value of about 30 billion. So we are talking of a fund here that is about 50+ billion worth of monies. And these monies belong to you and me, belongs to our siblings, belongs to our parents. We could be aware or not aware. The owners could be alive or they could be deceased. But either way, it's monies that belong to some people in Kenya. And these people could be anywhere in the world. So, and that's why we are very aggressive in this campaign of awareness, so that people can get to know that indeed you have got these monies and we need these monies to go back to their owners. Because for us right now, that money is not helping us, it's not helping anybody. But when it goes back to their owners, there are kids who can't go to school. Their homes, they can't afford food. They can't afford a medical care. They can't make a living. And yet, some of these assets could be with us and they are not aware. And because of our nature in Africa and Kenya in particular, we do not write wills. We do not tell our spouses what we have or our children for fears best known to us, either cultural or otherwise. And we are saying we need to go out there and tell the world, please check. And that's why we told you there are 2 ways you can query our database. Check whether you have got any monies that have come to you, either or for you or somebody that you may know. Now, out of these monies, the first compliance period was in 2014. Until 2016, our regulations had not been passed to allow us to make payments. So we began making payments in 2016. And to date, we've been able to pay the cash out of the 24 billion cash that has been coming over the years, been able to pay out over 1.5 billion of that. And much of those payments, actually about more than 80% of those payments, we've done them in the last 2 or 3 years after we've now revised our process and our systems to see to it that we can be able to disburse as much money as possible. And also for us, leveraging on these partnerships to have as many people as possible come out. But we still have to actually admit that our claim process may not be as friendly as it should be. And this is purely based on the legal framework that we have in place. And that's why we are calling upon you guys as we are lobbying for these changes. Among the changes or the requests we wish to have support on is how can we have our law changed to make it easy, especially for claimants to be able to claim their monies. So, and our focus in unification, that's why I told you, we've taken our services to Huduma centers. We are partnering with Kenya Diaspora Association. We are partnering with media. We are partnering with the regulators. Anybody we can partner with. The whole essence of this for us is to reach as many people as possible and kindly request them to come forward and claim their monies. So other than the legal challenge, the other challenge you have on unification is the issue of the nature of these assets, whereby you go and find, it's true we have got billions of unclaimed assets, but when you log in at a personal level and you're trying to see how much has been remitted on your behalf, you find that maybe it's 20 shillings or 30 shillings or 100 bob or 50 or 1,000 or 5,000. And then now you look at the claim process, it's quite tedious and rigorous. It literally took you through those 4 types of claimants. You can be the original claimant, that's yourself coming to claim, can be a deceased case, you're coming to claim on behalf of a fix-in. You must first go and have the issue of the successions done, get the letters of administration, get the administrator of the estate being identified by the courts of law. Then that's the person who now comes to claim. And that's why we say for us, judiciary is very key, not only in terms of interpreting our law, but also in helping us to fast track these cases for succession so that we can pay out these claimants. Then the other one is a company, and the other one is an agent for owner. So you find that when you come to launch this claim, and you come and you find it's 5,000 shillings, and the way the law, the requirements that the law has stipulated you must provide, then a lot of people are shying off from coming to claim. And that's why we are really pushing to have some legislative amendments to make it very easy for people to claim. And that's why we are very passionate on unification. And I request you, please, if you find you have got 10 shillings, please feel proud, feel happy, and come for it. We will pay you. As I told you, the least you have paid is 17 bob. The highest you have paid is 85 million shillings from a defunct institution. And a lot of our claims, a lot of them, they range between 5,000, 10,000 shillings and below. Those ones will form like 80% of education companies, the mobile monies. That sector has given us about 2 billion worth of unclaimed assets. Now, you should see the makeup of those monies. It is, I think, like 20% of that fund value is less than 1 shilling and belonging to various peoples, because you left some small money on your mobile number, that number was churned, then you never claimed your monies. So again, all these, what you call dividends are equally huge in what you are holding. But again, you find that these dividends is the shares you bought in a company, you sold, but you left some shares. Dividends are declared maybe 10 shillings per share or 20. So when you look at your dividend is 100 shillings or 200 bob, and you look at the cost of going even to the bank to deposit that check, you didn't go to the bank. So after 3 years, it became unclaimed. Now you have to claim, you have to come and claim it as 100 shillings. So we are saying that for the low value claims, we need to have some legislative changes that makes it easy for people to come and claim their monies. And the other thing that we are working on is a national policy on unclaimed assets, whereby we are now formally requesting that these changes be actually effected and they be anchored in some legislative framework so that it makes the mandate of the authority much convenient and easier for the people. And some of the things that we are proposing now on this policy, number one is to have a differentiated claim process rather than having a linear claim process. The other thing we are saying is that what else can these unclaimed financial assets do to support and spur the economy or for the social good? And one of the things that we are thinking about is perhaps even having a social bond issued, and then unclaimed assets become the partakers of that bond, and then that bond can go to a common good. In some jurisdictions, like in America, I know in the state of Florida, those assets, unclaimed assets, they go to education sector. If you go to places like in Singapore, they are part of the assets that are used for infrastructure development. In some other regimes, they go to the health sector. In other regimes, they go to, like, I know there's a country in the world, I don't know whether it's Switzerland or Sweden, where they used to rebate the fuel component of the electricity bill. So there are many things that they can do, but it has to be anchored in some structured legislation. And that's why for us, we are pushing through that national policy that we have this regime we looked at. And then we have now what we call the unclaimed. All those assets that people are feeling are too little to claim, they can go to a noble cause. The other thing you are proposing is maybe some donation mechanism, whereby you come, you find you have got 1,000 bob, and you feel that you looking for that money, even with easy claim process, you would wish to donate, and it's allowed. So we are saying, can we also have that in Kenya, whereby people can say, okay, I've come, I've seen my unclaimed assets. At a personal level, they may not help me so much, but let me donate to this cause. But we would wish to have that cause anchored properly in some legislation, and it's clear what they are going to do from the word go. Then also the other issue that we are grappling with here in Kenya is the issue of the interest, because these monies, as we hold them, the law does provide that we invest them like any other fund can invest. And I know even in other jurisdictions, they also do invest, but there's nowhere in the world where unclaimed assets pay interest to the beneficiaries. And in Kenya, if you look at the act and the spirit of the act, was that there's a cost of you coming to be reunited. So if you received 100 shillings under your name or 1,000 shillings, when you come, we'll pay you exactly that, irrespective of how much it's going to cost us. And that's why perhaps the spirit of the law that as we're looking for these honors, let's have these monies invested somewhere, then that investment income, using approval from the CS National Treasury through a budgeting process, it can also help to offset some of the costs of the authority. And we are happy so far. The ministry is very supportive for us in doing our mandate. And we do hope that we find a case that is fit for us in Kenya. In other jurisdictions, they don't pay interest. In other jurisdictions, they hold those assets for some time. And after that time has lapsed, those assets revert to the state. In Kenya, right now, is in perpetuity. Once you receive your assets, we hold it for you until the day you will come for them. So whether it's 2 years, 10 years, 30, 100, so your assets will never get lost because of passage of time. So it's a quite interesting space we are in. We want to partner with very many people, and our focus is so much on reunification. Even internally, we have developed some very key very high performance indicators, key performance indicators, and all of them, we want them to focus on reunification. So that when we are changing these laws, we have got a feel of how much can't be reunified. But for now, we don't know, because a lot of people do not know whether they have these assets or not. And it's our joy and pleasure to have you guys. And I do hope that we'll be able to get interest in our services. Whatever experience you go through, share with us. And on our part, we promise that we do our best and hope to unite these assets with their owners and make a difference to people's lives. So thank you very much. That was my very long presentation, and I hope we have communicated. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana, Bwana CEO. Tunashukuru sana. It was long, but highly appreciated. I can tell you that it's information that we've all been yearning for a very, very long time. I think we'll come to the Q&A because many people are asking questions. I also have my own questions here, and colleagues have actually been sending me, they sent me since last night, just questions on UFA. But allow me to welcome Cesarina, who is also part of the Secretariat, but she's in the US and will be leaving us shortly for another engagement. Cesarina, if you can unmute, please. Cesarina Naserombi.
Good afternoon, everybody, and good morning for those of us in the diaspora, and good evening for some of us. My name is Cesarina Naserombi. I'm actually in the country right now. I'm in Kenya, and it's a pleasure for me to be part of this event this afternoon. I would just like to inform us that for those of us in the US, we have a roadshow coming up next month on the 10th in Dallas, Texas, and on the 17th in Boston, Massachusetts. So we'll roll out details in due time for these roadshows. You can come. It's an in-person event, but we'll also stream them live for everybody else that may not be able to join. And we'll discuss further. They'll have the UFAA will have more time to expound on all these things about our unclaimed assets. Thank you all very much.
That was short and sweet, Cesarina. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And nice to put a face and the voice as we've been talking and communicating. Bwana CEO, we are back to you. Dibal, you ready? There are a couple of questions that I also have, but let me leave you to take that segment.
Let me just, sorry, I had not unmuted. I was saying you can just begin with the questions that you had from some of your colleagues from UN as well, Rosemary, and I'll pick some from also the chat as well, because
Yeah, go ahead and pick some questions. But let me just say that this flyer was shared by many people, some of my colleagues. We have a forum, people working for the UN. A lot of them very senior. In fact, one of them is in the audience. Her name is Diana Ofona. She's based in Niger. She's in Niamey as the UNDP resident representative. Another colleague who's in Malaysia said that she wasn't able to join because of the time. I believe it's very late now. But her frustration was that she told me, I just wanted to share that I've had an awful experience with UFA. Getting through to them is very difficult as their phones are not usually picked up. The information I got from one of their staff eventually on how to fill the forms was incorrect. Then I filed my paperwork, but they claimed they didn't see it in the system. In short, my experience has been nasty. It's been 2 years of back and forth, and I hope they will provide us with offices dedicated to diaspora to assist us. Kwa hayo machache, hope you're having a great session. All the best. I'll not mention her names, but I mean, that text literally says what others have also been saying. And Bwana CEO, one of the things that you said, and I really like that, ulisema tukuulize ama tuwaulize maswali, good or bad, because it is when we engage each other that you are able to address some of these concerns. So direct from that person. Can you mute, please? Somebody, can people mute, please, if they're not talking? So Dibal, do you have other questions, or I continue with the other comment?
Yeah, I have some here. We have David Mbiu, who is saying that I managed to submit my claims last month, but got a rejection. The feedback email did not indicate the reasons for the rejections, but that I could resubmit. I have since emailed back, but not got any acknowledgement. I would like assistance to follow through on my claim. And I think, Paul, you're here, you can directly address that particular question by David Mbiu as well on chat. We have Juna Witty, who is also saying, if an asset is payable to person A and person B, but person B refuses to submit claim, what happens? And what if person A dies? Will person B get all of the funds, or will it be shared with person A's estate? That is from Juna Witty. Let me also pick Maria Muley so that we can go with 3 at least, so that the CEO may be able to answer that. We have Maria Muley. She's asking, or she's expressing her frustrations that I have dialed *361# and does not respond without a second name, which I included in my full name. What can I do when it asks apply with a second name? I think that clarification will be also good for Maria Muley. Maybe over to you with those 3 questions so far, Bwana CEO, so that we don't want to inundate you so much questions, and you don't take mental note of them. We can go with the 3 for now, 4 inclusive of a colleague from Rosemary. Bwana CEO.
Yeah, thank you, Debar and Rosemary, for those questions. So I begin with the first question. The lady who talked of awful experience of the paperwork, 2 years. Maybe I begin by straight apology, because that is not the kind of brand we are looking forward to as UFAA. We want to be an institution that keeps the promise. And I know right now we have really revised and reviewed our policies and processes to see to it that there's an element of efficiency that comes in. But allow me just to apologize this, and it's good to say things as they are, because as an authority, this is actually the time we are trying to automate our processes. Before actually being manual, and you do know what we expect with the manual process. I mean, it can be anything, anywhere, any place. But I'm happy now, right now, we had begun our automation process, but then there was a disagreement between ourselves and the vendor that we procured. Because again, being a government institution, there's a requirement that for you to have any service provider, you go through a Public Procurement and Disposal Act and make sure you get a person who can do the work. But sometimes you can describe a process, but the person who comes on board through that process may not be what you are looking for. So we had a dispute with the vendor, and the matter went to court. And from 2017, it was actually until last year when that matter was resolved by the court. And the court directed that we go ahead and award that contract to the vendor. And the vendor has begun the process of automation, and it's currently going on. So right now we're in the process whereby we have got some processes that are manual, others are being automated. And we do actually apologize to our claimants because of the experiences we may be going through as we are going through this phase. But I do promise, I think that's an exceptional case. I know also we had a lot of claims that had been launched and they were incomplete. And unfortunate, if you go online and submit your claim as incomplete, then the system will not accept that claim. But I agree that if the claim is not complete, then a system should be able to tell you what is it that you are missing to make your claim complete. So my very big apologies. Rose, please personally go and report that claimant, whoever she is. Tell her I've said we are very sorry about that experience, and we wish to get to know her so that we can be able to assist and find out what was the issue with her claim, and we'll be able to pay her. It will be our joy to pay her. And I apologize for all our claimants and anybody here who has tried to test our services and find those gaps. But the essence of it is that we're in the process of automating. And secondly, again, as I told you, having only 33 staff and dealing with the whole of the world, sometimes it can be overwhelming. And so we are trying to re-engineer our processes, make them efficient, and also make it more user-friendly. But I'm also happy that our cry has been heard, been allowed to recruit some additional staff to help us in complementing our capacity over and above the internships. I mean, not internships, the partnerships that we are working on. And we do hope as we move forward, we'll be a better institution. And we encourage you, if there's something you feel we can do to make our processes better, please feel free to share with us so that we can become a better institution. But for those two cases where you try to claim and you don't have a good experience, my apologies. And I'll be happy if you can have those names, maybe shared with my colleagues, Beatrice, who made the presentation, or even Paul, and we'll be able to follow and assist and make sure those people are united with their monies. The case for David Mbiu, I think is the same case, is a case of the system. So maybe I think Beatrice and Paul be able to check specifically why Mbiu's claim was rejected, and perhaps maybe put a note in the system that when a claim is rejected, indicate why it has been rejected, so that the person gets to know the reason and resubmit. In terms of the Maria, the issue of the USSD code, I don't know what the issue will be there, because if you dial *361#, the way you get your name, it is the way the holder remitted your name. So for instance, my name is John Mwangi. and say company X brought my assets and they brought them as John Mwangi. And then I go in the system and I'm trying to search Mwangi John. So that it will not give you the results. So it's the way the data is sitting from the holder, and that's why we are telling you try to interchange. And perhaps we recommend use a surname because those are few. Surnames are not as common as first names. So in that case, maybe try using your surname and perhaps see if you still don't get a response. Maybe there are no assets that have come under your name, or the assets have been paid to the person, or there must have been some changes in the database, perhaps done by the holding institution. So I guess that we look at it case by case, but also there's an option of the website where you go and register and you're able to log in and also query your names or your data. Thank you. I think the case of person A, person B, I think that has been clarified in the chat.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Bwana CEO. Dibal, let me react or make some comments on some of the questions. I still have some of them my own, while you check on any others that may have come in. I've also had I think as Beatrice was talking, she gave very good information on how we can retrieve some of these assets. But probably what needs to be done, and this is just by way of suggestion, I think it's work in progress. You talked of automation, Bwana CEO. I think that would really be good so that the process is made easier and faster, and even an acknowledgement. My friend in Malaysia who sent me that WhatsApp message, I'll share with your team her contact so that you can get directly, walk her through on what may have transpired. 2 years is a long time to wait. The other concern from my colleagues, like I said, we hope from one country to the other, international civil service. I personally have worked in many countries, and one of the bad experiences I had is when I was in Turkey. So I forgot about all that account. And so I would have wanted to know, where does one start? I do have the account numbers and everything with my name, but by the time I was writing back, and I think Beatrice alluded to it, they said, oh, it had been over 10 years or something like that. There's some rules, either baada ya miaka 5, 10 or 20, when you don't claim, and then the second experience I had of the same was when I was in Geneva. I also had an account there, So these days when I take up any duty station, sitaki kufungua account kwenye hizo nchi. I just stick with Nairobi and probably US. So how does one go about that process? Do I write to those banks, or do I go on your website if it's improved to be able to put in, or where do I start with that process? Thank you. Back to Dibal.
Thank you, Rosemary. And of course, the CEO is taking a mental note of that as well. But we have a few questions here that needs to be addressed. We have Chiro who's asking, is this first attempt to reach to public stroke diaspora for unclaimed assets? And if so, why now? And also we have Vera Lalo who is saying, what is the single highest valued asset UFA currently possesses? Kindly give estimated value. And tied with that is the question from him as well. Some of the money held by UFA are usually invested in treasury bills. How much have you invested so far in this regard? Let's take that, Bwana CEO, then we continue with other questions as well.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dibal and Rosemary, for those questions. So I think, Rosemary, for your case, as Beatrice did allude or mention, that the way our law works, the way it works is it presumes the holder is a Kenyan entity or a Kenyan company. So if you go and open an account in Geneva, so either it's a Kenyan company or the claimant is a Kenyan. So in this case, you are a Kenyan. So you opened 2 accounts, one in Turkey and one in Geneva. So the way the law works at the moment is that in Turkey or in Geneva is there unclaimed assets law. or unclaimed property law. So that's the first thing we need to check. And if there is, then that's the law that we apply there to reunite you with your asset. If there is no unclaimed assets law in those countries, then now we need to find out from those guys, the holding institutions, now that bank, where is it based? And if it's based in that country, and you open the account in that country, then what we can do is just to try and help you, tell them using our law, whether they can surrender those assets to us or they give them to you. So I think we need to have some more details from your end, Rosemary, and then we'll be able to assist you. But ideally, how it should work, if you're a Kenyan and you are working outside Kenya, and in that jurisdiction, there is no unclaimed assets, and here we have, then those assets are supposed to be brought here using our law. But if they have unclaimed assets law there, then that's the law that will apply. So we'll have to discuss more, Rosemary, on that in your specific case. And now for the question is whether it's the first time you are doing outreach, the answer is no. We've been trying to do outreach, even diaspora. I think even the chairman, Dr. Shem, did allude that last year, late last year, they had a that you call it an annual something diaspora. We were there, and we've been trying to do a lot of awareness. So only that some of these associations or forums, you get to know them as you move along. So we've been doing a lot of awareness, but we may not have reached all the people, but we are doing our best. And that's why perhaps you heard in the opening remarks saying that we are trying as much as possible to do the awareness. So we've been doing a lot of awareness. But for this specific forum, I think this is the second time we are reaching to this forum. And even when we come to our trip in Texas next month, if we get the necessary approvals, one of the people we want to see are those Kenyan diasporas there and tell them about unclaimed assets. Because we are now looking outward. Before, we are waiting for people to come and ask for their money. But now we are saying, let's go out and look for them and pay them their monies. There was a question on the high value claim. I think right now the highest claim we have, the highest we had was 85 million. It's one of those defunct state agencies, those constitutional offices that are formed and they have a life shelf or a given time period to administer a certain mandate. And then that period lapses. And then there were some disbursements from the consolidated fund that had gone to their accounts, but they had not utilized all the monies in the account, and the mandate of the institution ended. So those monies were brought by the banks, because most of those monies are held by commercial banks. So it's the bank, one of the banks brought the monies saying they belong to this institution. So we wrote to the Treasury because the money came from Treasury, the exchequer. So we told Treasury to claim this money. And then the Treasury went to the ministry that was responsible for that institution, and that ministry claimed their money and we reunited with them. Right now, the next high value we have, I think, is about 30 million. Again, a similar instance is a state function that is defunct. It's no longer in existence anymore. And again, you have written, and we are waiting now for them to process the papers and we pay them. So, but other than that, a lot of these other monies at the personal level, they are small and small bits of money. The only other high values we have, most of them are deceased cases where somebody passed on and they had a lot of money in the bank account, but they are not much. We try to even sort the database, and we are trying to see any amount of money that's more than 500,000 all the way. And when we look at all those monies combined, 500,000 and above, it came to about 1.9 billion of the 24 billion we are saying. So it still confirms that a lot of these unclaimed assets are low value monies that we need to find efficient ways of reunifying them, because the way the law is at the moment is not efficient, both for us and even for our claimants to pay them out. How much is invested? I think only the money in cash, because as I told you, this money is received, the trust fund account is at central bank. So when these monies come, they come to central bank. Then we have put this money in T-bills, treasury bills. That's where the money is at the moment, the cash component. The shares, we don't have them. They are being held by the holding institutions, but they are holding them on our order. And that's a bigger portfolio. The shares is a much bigger portfolio than the cash. Thank you, Dibal.
Right, thank you. We have David Not David. I think he's just responding, saying thank you for reading my question. But Josiah is complimenting Ofer as well. He says, I am an advocate of the High Court in Kenya and do hereby confirm that having processed for a number of clients their assets, the process works so long as the claimant does all the administrative paperwork and legal processes correctly. So that is a good compliment also there from Josiah Bayeka, who has been working intimately with some of his clients who also they've been processing their claims at the end of the day. But maybe, Bonasio, briefly, is a good thing that you mentioned also the low income claims as well, because I wanted to get clarification from you briefly on where the process is, because you are lobbying also for the amendment of the UFA Act 2011, so that we can have this low income assets be given to the owners, even through just identification cards, or similarly donated where beneficiaries do not really want to claim the money because they see there's no need. It doesn't make any lick of sense for me to travel all the way to come and claim a little sum of money at the end of the day. But would you kindly just tell us where the process is? Because Treasury was yet to take to Cabinet and Parliament, as you said. Who's really pushing the envelope? We have the national policy that you also mentioned earlier. We know there is a task force that was mandated with that. Where is the task force at in terms of the entire process, briefly? Buonasio. You're muted.
Sorry. I was on mute. I was talking to myself, man. So I was saying those are two questions in one. Yes. One is the issue of the national policy.
Yes.
And the other one is on the issue of the law. But what we did, we made sure that that policy, we also had some amendments to the act. Okay, and then with that again, now you have got what you call the proposed amendment, or the bill that wants to amend the law. So the way the process works is that as an institution, we've got a parent ministry. Okay, when we prepare these documents, we take them to our parent ministry. Then the ministry reviews those proposals. If they have any questions, they get back to us. If they have no other questions, then from there now it goes to Cabinet. Then after the Cabinet, now that's when it goes to Parliament. So right now for us, after we did the policy, we did present it, the task force presented the policy to the parent ministry. Then for the proposed amendment bill, the same thing also happened. So we also took them to the parent ministry. And if you look at the finance bill that was read by our CS last month, you notice that there was something on the penalties.
Yes.
Where the CS was saying that the penalties in the act are very stiff, and to an extent they are becoming counterproductive for the holders to comply. So the CS was proposing that can we have those penalties looked at to make it easy for the holders to comply, and that was actually in the last finance bill. So, but for the other things, they are touching on the mother law, on the mother law, and that one now they have to go to Parliament, they have to go through public participation before they are changed. So I would say yes, we are engaging them. We are in consultation with the ministry to see to it that these things go to the rightful offices and they are acted upon. We've had back and forth from our parent ministry wanting us to change a few things so that they can be admitted, and from our end we have done that. So now is to follow up with them to see to that now it goes to the next level so that these legislative changes can be done. But where at the moment where we are now, it's the wrong time to do anything of that sort.
We're not being on the campaign trail.
Exactly.
But still, want to see you briefly on that as also we just get clarification with the finance bill. We understand people also have been complaining that if we have this waiver and penalties, being relaxed a bit, then it will be very counterproductive as well, because a lot of these institutions that are holding these monies will make it sort of a voluntary. It will be out of their own volition and discretion to actually be submitting this money to the authority. So do you think the pronouncement by the CS as well, and what people are feeling on the ground, they are on an even keel?
No, the issue here, Dibal, we are saying, if you look at any law you can think of that has penalties, any of them, look at the income, look at the Kenya Revenue Act, look at the County Government's Act, all those guys, anywhere there is a law for penalty, there's always a room even for negotiating those penalties. And we have seen even Kenya Revenue Authority giving amnesties, saying that, if you know you have not paid your taxes, you've got this window to pay your taxes, and you avoid incurring the penalties for non-compliance. The county government, you see them, I mean, all over the world, is a phenomenon that can be used to incentivize people to comply. If you look at our law right now, if I just give you a brief of it, it has got 4 penalties it prescribes. And one of these penalties is a daily rate penalty, whereby if you don't surrender 1 shilling, then per day, you are liable of between 7,000 shillings to 50,000 shillings per day. Now, imagine now you compute a daily rate of even say 7,000 shillings for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And then you go and you find this institution, the only unclaimed assets they have, is 1 million. Then the penalty is coming to about 30 million. So that institution, the logical thing they will do, let's go to court. We will not pay. So it becomes counterproductive. It is not helping the authority. It's not helping the holding institution. And in the course of this, the person who is losing is a claimant. Okay? So that's why we are saying everywhere there are penalties, let there be some room for negotiation. But for us, the way it is anchored in our act, it is so prescriptive, just like the regulations and unification, is so prescriptive so that everybody's hands are tied. Both the CS hands are tied, our hands are tied. So the holders are becoming like we are disincentivized to comply because of the applicable penalties. And that's why we say now, let's use this as a strategy so that we give people a 1 year period that, once this finance bill is passed, you have got 1 year to make sure if you've got any unclaimed assets, please make sure you remit. And once you remit, then those penalties do not apply. We have audited some companies, a number of them, and we have found a lot of money that they are holding as unclaimed. But when you compute the applicable penalties, they are saying, let's go to court. So it becomes counterproductive. So that's where we are coming from on that. And I think whoever you are saying those who are, please go and tell them that's what we mean, so that they also appreciate where we are coming from.
Good clarification.
Thank you.
Then just maybe briefly as well, you mentioned the interest. Could you kindly also just clarify and maybe educate us when we have the application of the Duplam rule by introducing the cap dictating that the interest must not exceed the original amount of the unremitted money? Just briefly.
Is it, what do you mean? Sorry, what do you mean by interest should not? Sorry, repeat your question.
I'm asking, could you maybe clarify for us this the Duplam rule? Yeah, because also we came across that particular Duplam rule. You were maybe intimately familiar with it. By introducing a cap that is dictating the interest rate must not exceed the original amount of the unremitted amount of money that you do have.
Okay. I think you're supposed to be saying the penalty. When you say interest, now you're confusing me because interest on investment. So I get you. Yes. What we are saying is, if say for instance, if you have say 10,000 worth of unclaimed assets that you have not remitted, the Duplam rule says that if you are going to be penalized, then the penalty should not exceed the 10 shillings. You cannot have 10 shillings and then you are being penalized 50 or 100 shillings for holding the 10
which is alluding to what you were saying before. Okay.
Yes.
I get it. Thanks so much. I don't know if there's another question from, I can see one which is checked in here. Let me try and see. For more info that you want to get from also KDA, you can go to the site. We have people appreciating you, Bona CEO, and presentation also made by British as well. Great insights from Chiro there. We have Dr. Shemo Chodo also, who is admitting that he's another beneficiary who has received his assets successfully from MUFA. We do have Ambassador Beja there as well, saying great insights, very informative presentation from CEO UFA. But before you go, this is a very interesting forum, and I hope for many as well who are with us currently. I know we are really pinched for time. Before I hand it back to Rosemary, there is an aspect right now of the digital currency, and just I think a few days, May the 20th, we had Central Bank of Kenya who had given, an opportunity for Kenyans to have a public participation on that particular document that they'd presented to Kenyans regarding the digital currency. We are gravitating towards digital currency. Many people also investing in cryptocurrency, non-fungible tokens as well. These are assets. And from your own standpoint right now, how are you trying to pivot to go on that particular angle as well? Because there's so many people investing in cryptocurrencies. You can see the buzz is on. This is the latest fetishization that we do have around the world. But how are you prepared as an authority to handle this sort of assets that will be a huge deluge from the internet? People are very secretive with what they're doing over the internet as well.
That's a good one. That's a good one, Dibal, and it's true. I would say digital currency is an emerging frontier. It's a space we are hoping to see. Actually, it has already begun having a lot of traction. And just like in any innovative ways of doing things, more often than not, you will find the law trying to catch up with the innovation. And that's why now you see central bank is coming in, but the cryptocurrency business began way back. And I guess sometimes it's good for the market. Let the market find its footing. Then now you come and see what are the gaps. Ideally, the regulation should be ahead of the market. But sometimes it becomes, especially in the world of ICT, it can be challenging. So for us, yes, in fact, in that policy again, and even that policy, draft policy, you can find it actually in our website. We have posted it there. Under our act, section 18, to be precise, of our act, does give powers to our CS, that's the CS National Treasury, to prescribe any further category of unclaimed financial assets, as and when are they deemed due, and even the time frame within which they should qualify as unclaimed. And we had even proposed actually, even these things called royalties, these things called royalties, like those bonga points and whatnot, they are huge. But if you look at our act, they are not, it's not explicit. As to
even betting the prices as well. That was the question. The world is becoming so big on gaming and betting. So that is an asset as well.
It's true, yeah. So it's an emerging frontier. And I guess for us is that's what I'm saying. Once you have these partnerships with the industry players, we get to collect this data and perhaps even the recommendations that perhaps the industry feels they're the applicable assets, like now Bitcoin. I mean, I would say, or cryptocurrency, was Bitcoin just one of them.
Yes.
Then now perhaps we say for the bank account, we know if these conditions are met, then it becomes unclaimed. So it's for the industry now, we see through these forums and participation, then we give a recommendation to our CS and say, we feel this is an emerging asset class and we would wish it to be recognized in the act and be recognized this way. We have non-cash assets, land, motor vehicles, buildings. In other jurisdictions, they are part of unclaimed assets. But for us right now, they are out. So I guess as a regime depends and that grows and matures, it keeps on growing over time. But yes, for us is that provision. I guess now for the industry to engage this and then perhaps see how we can have them fitted in.
Good. It's good to note that you're on it. Thank you very much, Bonasio. Right, Rosemary, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dibala and Bwana CEO. I think this really has been a very, very informative session. We are grateful to you and your team. So what I would like to do, if there are no burning issues, is to go around again through the guests. You last, but starting off with my dear sister Beatrice, if there is any last minute information she would like to share with us. And then Dr. Chudo can speak after that before we get you. But I'm very happy that you are making the trip to the US. Please keep us informed. One of the things that I may request, probably pushing for my colleagues, we have a forum of over 300 people, and a lot of them work in different jurisdictions of the world. It would be nice probably to have a virtual meeting with them so that at least they have a lot of concerns as far as these unclaimed assets are concerned. So back to you, Beatrice, if you're still around and if you're able to unmute very briefly.
Okay, thank you, Rosemary. Maybe I can only share my email address where you can reach out to me so that even you can even share the details of the lady who tried to launch a claim 2 years ago. Thank you. I'm going to share my email. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'll share the details of my colleague in Malaysia. She couldn't be here because of the time difference. Dr. Chudo?
To add briefly, 1 minute?
Yes, go ahead,
Paul
Dr.
Moya,
Chudo.
if you're able to, corporate communication.
Thank you, Dr. Ari. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm most grateful and humbled to the team who have participated and the moderation of the session this far, and the budding partnership between KDA and Unclaimed Assets Authority. We look forward to better days. We look forward to more deepened engagement. And on account of initiatives that we are carrying together, one of them being what we have just concluded this afternoon, and a couple of other initiatives coming up in the near future, we'll look to having them concluded successfully and ensuring that our citizens, those who are living across the globe, are facilitated to receive services from the authority to the best of our ability. And thank you very much once more.
Thank you greatly, Paul. Allow me also to thank colleagues. I do know friends like Chair Patrick Nganga, Dallas, Bishop Wambua, Boston, and the other colleagues waiting with a bated breath. You've heard it from the horse's mouth. If approval, government grants approval, be rest assured you will be seeing them soon. Dr. Shiro Ele, we don't take you for granted. Yes, I confirm I'm a beneficiary from OFA. So this thing works. I may also just mention we were live on Facebook, on YouTube, Twitter. We are trending actually for those who may have followed on that score, hashtag Unclaimed Financial Asset. That was trending number 5. So thank you so much, everyone. We will have available the presentations. We've put up both OFA's website and our own website, KDA. Write to us. We'll share with you the presentations. Otherwise, thank you so much. Bwana CEO can't thank you enough. Keep going. In fact, I can just mention 2 nights ago, we had a session with the Registrar of Political Parties, and she was saying, what is it that you always keep talking about unclaimed financial assets? So other partners and sister organizations are watching. So keep going, and tuko pamoja. Santeni sana, co-moderators. I'm sure you will give compliments and gratitude to the team that made this possible. Over to you, Sister Rosemary. Maybe the CEO as keynote can say final words, then you conclude, co-moderators.
Go ahead, Bwana CEO. Asante, Dr. Chodo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rose. I'm seeing somebody called Peter Nyahoro. He has both hands up, so maybe you remember him in your kingdom, Rosemary. Now, mine is to sincerely thank you guys for having time to interact with us. My request is that don't give up. Help us to be better. My call is just go to us, whether you have got a good experience, a bad experience, an ugly experience, it is still an experience. And for us, as I say, we are a fairly young institution, even ourselves as a staff, but I'm among the oldest people in this institution. So we are up the challenge. We call upon you to help us. Look at this regime. It's a regime with a lot of potential in terms of helping people get reunited with their assets. It's also a regime that can even help greatly if all these assets are mobbed from the system and there's a good policy and governance structures. These resources have got a potential of even reducing the interest rates in the sense that the government may not have to borrow so much to do some of these things that they are doing. So if you're able to mob all these assets and give them to their owners, and whatever can't be given, it can be used for a social or a common good. So mine is to request you guys interact with us, help us be a better institution. Whatever you experience you see on us, let us know. If it's a good one, let us know. If it's not a good one, let us know. Go to our website. There's a lot of information there. Anything you can share with us to make us better, we really appreciate. But most of all, I call upon all of you, please check if you have unclaimed assets or somebody you know has unclaimed assets, and let's walk that journey of reunification together. And also to wish you well wherever you are. May God bless you and the work of your hands and your families and whatever you do. Asanteni sana, and we hope to meet you more and more and more. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bwana CEO. Nadhani umehold brief kwa Peter Nyahoro. You have, can you unmute please, Peter Nyahoro? Labda ulikuwa unataka kuuliza swali kwa Bwana CEO. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I joined the meeting late. My question was whether there is a search facility on the website for one to search if there's any asset in their name, rather than going the other way around. I know there's an asset for me, and therefore I can start the claim process. Sometimes you don't remember which account you had somewhere, and you need to do it the other way around.
Bwana Nyahoro, where are you streaming from?
I am in Canada.
Okay. Which place in Canada?
I'm
not too far.
I'm in Toronto.
Okay. Very good. Yeah. No, karibu, and thank you for joining. Bwana CEO, please, you want to take a stab?
Sure. Thank you, Bwana Peter Nyahoro, and greetings from Canada. Yes, we have our website, and we did say it is www.ufaa.go.ke.
I'm there right now.
You'll be able to, there's a place there where you're supposed to register. There's a portal there where you register. And then once you register, you're able to access the database and check whether you have unclaimed assets. And if you do, all the documentations, we have uploaded them there. So you just fill the paperwork. Then even the claim process is also on the same portal. You'll be able to launch your claim. Now, the only challenge is that at some point you have to get off the system to have your documents notarized. Then you scan them back on the same portal. So that site has got everything. But if you are stuck, then Beatrice is sending her email address. You're able to get in touch with her, and she'll be able to assist you and check your assets and also claim. We'll be happy, Peter, in the next meeting, tell us also you have been paid. That will be our joy if you have any, or any relative you know. But I can bet anybody lodging there, you will find something either for yourself or somebody you know.
Thank you very much. That would be good. I might buy some mandazi and chai somewhere.
That's really very encouraging. Yeah, honestly, Bwana Nyahoro, we are glad that you could join. Dibal, do you have any last minute?
Yeah, mine is just to thank OFA for that good salutary effort that they've been doing and keeping forth with. This journey, I remember also as a media, we began 10 years ago. That is a conversation as a young journalist that was a catnip issue, you know, with the formation of UFA coming into play. And now seeing that, yes, it's an authority right now that is carrying out its mandate. For me, I think also just following the process of how it has really grown, of course, in leap and bounds, I'm always grateful to see, yes, that conversation that we were not just talking shop. It has come to reality, and I thank you so much for keeping tabs with and partnership with media to make sure that that information is put out there, because at the end of the day, people need to know. It's the only way that they can actually claim their assets. So I want to thank you so much for the partnership all along the way. And they always say, you know, if it is Edmund Burke who said that when boundaries are broken, new world, is realized and new world is created. So we need to just break the boundaries, get to know also what is happening in the diaspora as well, because there's so many Kenyans out there who also, they have, you know, good, valuable assets. And sometimes they forget, like Rosemary here, so many accounts, yet she cannot even remember some of them. So it's good that she's had from you and she knows how to go about it today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dibal. Actually, one of the things, and of course, this is a continuous discussion we'll have with UFA, like the request I had put forward, if they could join us probably on a virtual meeting through KDA's facilitation, to be able to inform some of my colleagues who have so many accounts in different locations. But it's not even a question of forgetting. I mean, I didn't even forget the one in Turkey and Geneva and the various places, but the process, the bureaucracy, the number of forms, and you waste a lot of time, the back and forth, probably you don't get anything. And then you know what, forget it. You move on to another duty station. But I'm so enlightened with what Bwana CEO and the team say today, that even in the various jurisdictions, whether it's in Switzerland or in the US or wherever, there is always a local agency that deals with that. And we can always ask them, give them details to be able to surrender our assets to UFA, so that tukirudi nyumbani, you know, ourselves, our beneficiaries, they can always claim. So this has really been very, very rewarding, very, very informative session. We look forward to meeting with the team in the US. I think you folks will be in Texas and Boston and other places. I think we'll get that information and we'll mobilize both in person and also virtual. So how do we conclude? Kuna mtu wa kutuombea ama namna gani?
Sister Rosemary.
Go ahead.
Yeah, now that you are raising that, I remember 30 plus years back as a graduate student in the UK, bought shares with my wife. My wife and I did buy shares. We've been trying to trace them. Maybe one of the things we'll be taking up with UFA perhaps to explore bilateral relations. We have even approached the sister organization in the UK. So of course, this is better done on our behalf by UFA when the policies are in place. But otherwise, thanks a lot. My team, I thought you would have commended them. Should you read their names?
No, I was just about to say that. In fact, I was communicating with Nighty, you know, just to thank, you know, because when we are all appearing here, Dibal, myself, yourself, you know, there are people, there's a technical team that is doing a lot. And this process did not even start today. It's been going on for, you know, for a time, the back and forth, the emails, you know, running around, calling Bwana CEO, confirming the time, and just getting the time right, even with the various time zones. So we are very grateful. We are very happy. And I really want to commend the KDA team, the team of volunteers. I have people like Ambassador Beja, we have Knight, Nyaribo. I think somebody needs to mute.
Diana, kindly mute. I think she's muted now.
Yes, mute. Yeah. So I was just saying that starting off with Ambassador Zia Beja, at KDA, Nighty, Nyaribo, Arnold, Okango, Nasirumbi, Cesarina, and many other colleagues. I don't have all the names. I was asking for the names, but I didn't get them on time. But I just want to say that I appreciate all of you. It's not us who just do the show and finish off, but probably, Daktari, you have more names?
Yeah, of course, Paul Muya from Unclaimed Financial Assets, Zippy, Nancy Magoma, Christabel Adhiambo, Sabina Chieng, Kanso Eldna Nyamukami, Linus Nyaga, and Enid Busolo. Thank you so much. Couldn't have done this without you. And to you, co-moderators and sign language interpreter, thanks so much. Be blessed.
Yes, thank you. So do we have somebody?
Yeah, we can. The African anthem can be played as we close, being Africa Day. It's a prayer as well.
That is true. That is true. Very true.
And thanking the technical team as well, Dennis and Arnold. Thanks. Do we have it? If not, Dennis, we can close. Maybe Diana can pray for us. We were so honored to have a high-level representative. Diana, are you able to unmute?
Yes, the honor was actually all mine. I want to thank you very much, Kenya Diaspora Alliance. I want to thank UFAA, and the excellent moderators. I think you did a splendid job. We can close with prayer. Father, we just want to thank you for this session. We thank you for the work that has gone behind all this. We want to thank you, Father, even for the information that we have had, the wisdom that has been shared, and for those who have given of themselves to this important work. We ask that you bless the finances of each and every person, that they may be used not only for their development, but also for the glory of your name. As we depart now, we ask that you dismiss us with your blessing, and we also ask that you strengthen and bless this institution, Kenya Diaspora Alliance, the UFAA, and each and every last person on this platform. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Madam Ofona. And, we'll stay in touch. But, Bwana CEO, we look forward to meeting all of you in the US. Asanteni sana to all the participants and who stayed the course until the end. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you so much. Kwaherini.
Bye.
Bonne nuit.
Bye.
Bye. Asanteni sana.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.